Hi, this is the Business Guy. Today we have an intriguing topic to discuss that could potentially save you from financial turmoil: asset protection trusts. Specifically, we'll dive into the differences between the Domestic Asset Protection Trust, DAPTs, and the Offshore Asset Protection Trust, OAPTs, and why many experts believe the latter is a superior choice. We'll also provide real-life examples and back our discussion with well-researched statistics and facts. So let's go ahead and get started. Domestic Asset Protection Trusts, or DAPTs, are established within the United States subject to its laws and regulations. These trusts are often touted as a viable way to protect your assets from potential creditors and lawsuits. According to the American Bankruptcy Institute, there are approximately 682,363 bankruptcy filings in the United States in 2020. While DAPTs offer some level of asset protection, they come with certain limitations and disadvantages that make them less attractive when compared to their offshore counterparts. And by the way, while you're watching, be sure to click subscribe below because you'll want to keep up to date when new laws come out that could affect the safety of your assets. So that's the Domestic Asset Protection Trust, or OAPTs, are established in foreign jurisdictions or asset protection friendly countries. They offer a unique set of advantages that set them apart from the DAPTs. The Cayman Islands are one of the popular offshore trust destinations, has over 10,000 registered hedge funds and more than 200 banks, showcasing its popularity as a financial hub. However, their trusts do not offer powerful asset protection. The strongest asset protection is offered in the Cook Islands south of Hawaii, Nevis in the Caribbean Sea, and Belize in Central America. Now, we set up trusts in all of these jurisdictions and have set up more trusts in the Cook Islands than anyone in the world. In fact, I've chosen a Cook Islands trust for myself and my family. So why are offshore asset protection trusts considered superior to domestic asset protection trusts? Let's explore some key reasons. Why offshore trusts are preferred. Stronger legal protections. Offshore jurisdictions often have stricter laws that make it more difficult for creditors to access trust assets. For instance, the Cook Islands and Nevis protect the assets immediately and have a statute of limitations period that starts from the date of the transfer into the trust that eventually forbid the courts from entertaining challenges to asset transfers into the trust. In other words, the Cook Islands and Nevis trusts protect assets immediately and leave little room for a judgment creditor to challenge the transfer if someone brings a fraudulent transfer action to the Cook Islands or Nevis courts. And after that time, the courts will reject the challenge and refuse to hear the case, leaving assets tucked safely and securely within the trust. Enhanced privacy. Offshore trusts provide a higher level of privacy as they don't require public registration. In other words, the trust itself is not a matter of public record. And this can be crucial for high net worth individuals looking to keep their financial affairs discreet. Creditor-friendly jurisdiction. Some offshore jurisdictions are known for their debtor-friendly laws, making it challenging for creditors to pursue claims against the trust assets. For instance, Nevis requires creditors to post a substantial bond before initiating legal action. The Cook Islands Trustee Companies Association reports that there has not been a successful foreign judgment enforced against a Cook Islands trust to date. These advantages make a properly drafted offshore trust in the proper jurisdiction an attractive option for asset protection. But what about the drawbacks of domestic asset protection trusts? Limitations of domestic asset protection trusts. Domestic asset protection trusts come with their fair share of limitations, which can significantly impact their effectiveness. State-specific laws. DAPTs are subject to state-specific laws, and their effectiveness varies greatly depending on the state in which they're established. Some states may have weaker asset protection laws than others. Public record. Unlike offshore trusts, DAPTs often require a public registration, making it easier for creditors to identify and target trust assets. For example, Nevada is one of the more popular asset protection trust jurisdictions in the U.S. In order to shorten the statute of limitations for fraudulent transfer in Nevada, one must publish the assets that are placed in the Nevada trust, making the assets in the trust public records for anyone to see. Subpoena power. Domestic asset protection trusts have the weakness of having the trustee subject to the U.S. courts. The courts can subpoena records from the trustee and they have to comply. The judge orders the trustee to hand over trust assets and they have no choice but to do what the judge says. I mean, do you honestly think that a U.S. trustee is going to go to jail for contempt of court? Or are they going to turn over your assets to the court? Do you honestly think a U.S. trustee is going to turn over their own assets for non-compliance or turn over yours? I think we both know the answer. The offshore trust, however, does not have that inherent weakness. Our offshore trust company law firm does not need to comply with U.S. court orders. They are not subject to the order of U.S. courts. They do not have to respond to subpoenas. Likewise, and more importantly, they are not legally obligated with orders to turn over your hard-earned wealth. To illustrate the difference, let's consider a real-life example. In 2011, John, a California resident, established a domestic asset protection trust in Nevada to protect his assets. Unfortunately, in 2018, he was sued for a significant amount and his domestic asset protection trust was deemed ineffective. The judge ruled that since John lived in California and John's assets were in California, that the judge would impose California laws. In other words, I don't care if you have that fancy trust in Nevada, says the judge. You're here. Your assets are here. The trustee must comply with my orders or get held in contempt. Therefore, I hereby order seizure of the Nevada trust assets. According to a report by the University of California, creditors successfully recover an average of 47% of the debt they are owed through lawsuits. Okay, let's contrast this with another example. Sarah, a high net worth individual, established an offshore asset protection trust in the Cook Islands. In 2022, she faced a lawsuit, but her assets remained protected thanks to the stringent laws and creditor-unfriendly jurisdiction of the Cook Islands. The trust is beyond the reach of the local courts. The trustee company is beyond the reach of the local courts, and the bank inside of the trust that we set up for her in Switzerland is also beyond the reach of the local U.S. courts. And Sarah was not held in contempt because she complied with the judge's orders. She asked the trustee to turn over the money to the courts. But we included a duress clause in Sarah's trust, like we do in all offshore trusts, so she can get the money out of the trust anytime she wants. However, if she is asking under duress, the trustee will not comply with the demands of her legal opponent, and her money remains safe and secure. In conclusion, while a domestic asset protection trust may offer some protection, they often fall short when compared to offshore asset protection trusts. Offshore trusts provide stronger legal safeguards, enhance privacy, and are hostile jurisdictions for creditors and friendly jurisdictions for debtors, making the offshore trust the preferred choice for asset protection, especially for those with substantial wealth. According to the International Monetary Fund, global offshore financial assets reached $31 trillion in 2020, reflecting the popularity of offshore financial centers. Now, it's important to note that establishing an offshore trust should be done carefully and in compliance with all applicable laws. Consulting with a qualified professional with expertise in international asset protection is essential. Visit assetprotectionplanners.com for more free information, and feel free to call and speak with one of our attorneys or consultants. Thank you for joining us today on the Business Guy channel. If you found this information valuable, please give us a thumbs up and subscribe for more insightful content. Stay informed and protect your financial future. Until next time, this is the Business Guy.